KelMcDonald.com.
Hey everybody, I'm Alina Pete, and I make comics that you can read at wheregeek.com or alinapete.com.
And we're both drawing today.
I'm gonna draw some things. I'm gonna do my
We
usual and draw us in a very goofy, fast style, so you know who we are.
cool.
Cool, cool.
I am doing layouts slash roughs for my comic, The City Between, which is about werewolves in the future.
Good. I will be drawing and coloring a variety of things today, but mostly coloring because I did a bunch of like actual physical drawing this afternoon.
Mm-hmm.
Aw, you look really pensive in my drawing. It's very cute.
Um, but yeah,
You're just like a cute wolf who is here and wearing a tie.
good. I support all these things. I'm thinking about getting a jacket that has like fake fur collar.
Good, good, good. To complete some
Um,
werewolf look.
well, because the pitch I'm working on now, or one of the pitches I'm working on now, is about werewolves that eat the rich.
Good. I am
And
here for that.
rather than do the usual like you become a werewolf because you get bitten, um,
You become
these
a werewolf
werewolves
because you're
have
too
like
angry at capitalism.
well, so they have magic coats.
Good.
And all the coats in their designs have like a fur lining because they're wolf coats. Because
Like a Selkie
in
kind of
this
situation
pitch,
where they take off their
yeah,
fur. Cool.
um, yeah, sorta. So only they can wear their coat even when they're
Oh,
not woofed.
cool.
But so like one of the things I was doing is with it is um they're mostly fighting wizards because in it, magic is a metaphor for inherited wealth.
Oh, good.
Um, and to sort of address the like, well, they're werewolves, so their kind of magic. How does that fit into the inherited wealth thing? So I have that the origin of the coats. One of the earliest werewolf adjacent stories is a story that we do not have actual text of. All we have is a reference to it in Gilgamesh,
Yep.
where Gilgamesh is propositioned by the goddess Ishtar, and he's like, "Nah, because I heard what happened to your last lover, the shepherd that you turned into a wolf."
Cool.
And so I was gonna have that like, so that happened, um, and the shepherd returns to the other shepherding community, and rather than do the usual myth where you have stuff like the guys hunting dogs kill him when he's turned into a stag by
Right. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Artemis or something like that. So rather than the situation like that where his shepherd buddies turn on him, they like tried to do a spell to fix him, and each of them pulled a little piece of the wolfiness out of him. So as a
How do I
community
put
effort,
that?
that's what like made the coats.
Oh, interesting.
Uh, in the pitch that I'm working on. So it's kind of like it's collective action made the werewolf coats.
Nice. Also, seizing the means of production. And by production, I mean
Yes.
becoming a werewolf.
Yeah, seizing the means of magic. Um,
Good. Good, I like it.
yeah. Uh, good woofs.
Good woofs. Good
All the woofs. All the
socialist
woofs
woofs.
in the comic are named after leftists.
Oh, good.
Uh,
This is a comic I would read. I would read the hell out of this.
Yeah, right now I'm reading a bunch of theories so that way the leftist werewolves aren't spouting nonsense
Yeah,
when they say leftist things.
good.
Because I know Onion Knight in my chat says hello and says hello to you too, Alina.
Hello, Onion
Um,
Knight.
so yeah, so I was just I'm currently reading a lot of like leftist nonfiction to make sure that
Good.
they're not full of shit.
I have
Um,
also been reading a lot of leftist nonfiction lately for another writing project, so it's funny that you have as well.
yeah.
Because I have had to read up
Have you read
on strike actions and unions for
Have
another writing
you read
project.
have you read Debt the First 5,000 Years?
No.
It's very good. That was one of the first ones that I read. I also read The End of Policing, which
Mm,
was good, but since it was written a couple years ago, I felt like a lot of the stuff that was in it I had heard already from
right.
like other leftists talking online.
Yeah, yeah.
So like clearly they got it from this book.
Gotcha.
Uh and I have a list of other stuff. Can you tell me what union books you've been reading?
Oh
Because
man,
I have
there's a
some.
whole list of them. I could send them to you. Books and
Yes,
podcasts.
please do.
So I
Please do.
can't talk a lot about what the writing project is, but there is one of the main plot points of one of the chapters is like a union standoff, and they've brought scabs in from off planet.
Mm-hmm.
And so now you have this whole thing of like it's all both an immigration allegory, but then also it's about unions and scabs.
Yeah. Good.
So yeah, so we were reading up both on the initial write up for it was very Standing Rock, and then it shifted a little bit less away from the land and more about actual workers' rights. And I'm pretty happy with the direction it's going.
Also, other stuff that I've been getting from this leftist fiction. So, City Between World is supposed to be more leftist than our world, but still imperfect,
Mm,
rather than do the dystopia future thing.
that's cool. Or the pure utopia of like it's socialist, so
Yeah.
everything's great.
Well, I feel like if it's a utopia, there isn't any conflict.
I mean,
Um,
depends. A lot of Ursula Le Guin's books are picturing what utopias would try to be like, but having them be somewhat dystopic, which I think is fascinating.
yeah.
Because she's like, well, we're still
See,
people, no one's perfect, and we're never going to have a
yeah.
utopia, but we can imagine better realities, which is
Yeah.
kind of cool. I like that
Um,
philosophy.
yeah, so that's kind of like where City Between is coming from. It's also kind of uh they're since vampires are the 1%,
Hmm.
obviously still gotta have capitalism in there somewhere. But the
Yeah.
idea is that if vampires are the 1% in this world, the problem with our 1% is they only care about the immediate profit.
Hmm.
So they don't care about climate change
No.
because they're in their 50s and 60s and they're going to be dead before it gets real bad.
Also, well before
So
they have to worry about it, they have to worry about talking to the people who have backed their company and growth and all that kind of BS.
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
it's always
So
just looking very myopically.
yeah. So if vampires are the 1%, or at least a portion of the 1%,
Yeah,
um, they're gonna care about climate change because they're gonna be here.
that's true. They're gonna have to deal with it.
Um, yeah. So so part of it is like it's kind of still capitalism, but then
There's like an
if you're a
eco.
vampire and you yeah, well so it's a little bit more eco-friendly, so like there are no suburbs because partly because I hate drawing the suburbs.
Correct.
I want to draw the
Yes,
woods
good,
or a big city, and I
good.
don't want to draw the in between.
No, because that's
Um,
hard. That's harder. And
It's
way
boring.
more time consuming.
So like so it's basically they have big cities, trains that connect them, and then like little towns along the railroad track.
Yeah?
Um, but it's more futury. Uh, it will be like you either live in the big city, which has all the people in it, or you live in a town that has like 100 people in it.
Gotcha.
Um, and so it's, yeah, stuff like that. And it's like ingredients for a food that you make at home are free, but like anything that's already pre-prepared
Mm.
costs money. So going to a restaurant costs money, buying potato chips costs money. Um,
Because those are like
but
sort of
if
luxury items where it's just the basics of like, here are some calories to stay alive
well,
today.
it's like well, it's also like so if you went to the store to get milk and sugar and everything you need to make chocolate chip cookies, those would all be free.
Gotcha.
Um,
But if you
but
went to
if
go
you
and
bought
buy
Oreos,
some, yeah,
yeah, if you bought Oreos, they would cost money.
gotcha.
So it's more about time um, rather than anything particularly being a luxury. Uh,
Because I guess you're paying for the time that went into creating that product.
yeah, right. Um, but so because food is free, the farmers union in their world is going to be very powerful,
Yeah.
um, and have a lot of stuff to do. Um,
Maybe funded by the vampires. I imagine who have would
uh,
benefit from having well-fed humans.
and also, so another thing is, so like the city has levels to it,
Cool.
and the
I
bottom
like a good
level
leveled city.
sunlight. The sunlight doesn't really get to the bottom
Yep.
level because the city's so tall.
That's vampire
Um,
territory.
yeah.
Good.
Um, and everyone gets a free apartment, but it is hard to move
Mm,
because space is limited.
gotcha.
Um, and
God, that sounds so utopian right now, where it's like, you could
well,
just have an apartment. What do you mean I could just have an
yeah.
apartment?
So yeah, so like the problem is like, but if you are married and have a kid, you're still in this 500 square
Yeah,
foot
yeah.
apartment,
And then you have to like get on the list for a larger place and maybe not ever get one.
and like yeah, basically, or by the time you get one, like your kid's a teenager,
Yeah.
so but then I was thinking about uh nomadic cultures, like, and so how would
Mm,
this system interact with any culture or people that are nomadic, like the Romani?
mm-hmm.
So I'm still figuring out what to do with that, and so it doesn't have to be a perfect solution. I just have to like
Come
make
up with something
the
for it.
problems written in rather than like
Yeah.
accidental.
Maybe there's like an allotment of nomadic housing where it's like if you're a nomad and you're in the town, you can use these housings, but there's only so many of
Well,
them, and so like they get
so
really
I was
crowded.
actually so I was thinking um if it's a group that's nomadic, um because it's also not our world, so
Yeah,
these are
yeah.
going to be made up cultures. So I was thinking like, okay, so because vampires care more about the environment, they would fund food forests,
Nice.
and those would not be um need to be maintained year round. It would have to be dependent on the weather.
Right. So there's
So
people who
like
could
the
just travel
nomadic,
around. Yeah.
yeah, so the traveling folks could like they it's in exchange for taking care of this area.
Mm.
Uh
Have you read? Fledgling by Octavia Butler.
Yes, I have certain mixed problems with it.
Yeah, I mean the main one being that the character is
Yeah,
10 and there's a lot of sex scenes and it's very uncomfortable.
it's weird. It's also so like I understand that it's supposed to be like the humans that the vampire feeds off of are supposed to be attached to the vampire as
Yeah,
part of like the vampire's survival mechanism.
yeah,
But like, why does it have to be sexy
yeah. I don't know.
attachment?
I
Why
I was
can't
like,
yeah.
Octavia, are you just straight up writing porn for some reason? And then also, why did you make your character 10? Because it's very weird.
Like I don't mind her being 10. It's just it had to be a sexy attachment. It couldn't
Exactly.
be
Just this
like
like compulsion.
literally anything else.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
literally. Yeah, I that was a choice she made. It was definitely a choice. But I do like
Um
I was like reading it and going like, man, the people who are bitten by vampires get to like have housing and jobs
yeah.
and like money and just a lot of privileges conferred to being a vampire's uh, feeding toy. And also you're healthy for like all of your longer life, which sounds great.
Mhm. Yeah. Like yeah, it had to be that sexy thing.
Yeah,
Like
I do not in my head to read that book and to get through it, I had to age her up. I was just like, nope, nope. I'm gonna pretend she's like at least 16.
and even then that's
Even
not ideal.
that's still illegal, but like the whole point is that the character's very young, and I she chose this as a metaphor for some reason, and I can't figure it out.
Um but
Like,
another thing I took from like listening to Red Planet is I found out in what cops do in Vietnam,
oh yeah,
which is if a flood happens or some kind of natural disaster happens, the cops and the army come help rebuild all the houses.
great, good, yes, they are a ready
Yeah.
source of
Um,
human power who should be helping the
yeah.
community,
Yeah.
just like the military does here sometimes.
Yeah.
Obviously,
So
not
it's
when
kind
all
of
our
like
roads washed out, but
how are those roads? Are they fixed yet?
they are. One of them's open. I think the other one's open now too. The Coca-Cola's just opened, and I'm not sure about.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know the 3 was open months ago, as was the Northern Lillooet route, because that's how I got home from Christmas.
Good.
But I think there's still a couple sections that are closed off, but they're probably less traveled routes.
Mm.
But yeah, that was a thing. I watched Encanto over the weekend.
How'd you like it?
Have you seen it?
I have not yet.
Okay, then I will. I mean, I was gonna keep spoilers out
I
of it anyway because people are watching this. But
we're on
also,
air. Yeah.
yeah. Um,
I also don't care about spoilers. I know
right, right. We
about
we discussed that last time.
yeah. I know about the the guy in the wall.
Yeah, 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 yeah. We don't talk about him.
Yeah.
So I love it. It's a wonderful movie. Beautiful, beautifully done. However, I feel like there was a very important scene cut right at the beginning of the movie. And if I was writing it, it would be a family dinner where you can see the family as it is normal for the main character before all the stresses of the movie start changing all of their relationships. Because I
Mhm.
feel like they to introduce the family did this very lovely musical number, but it's very fast, and you don't get a lot of
Mhm.
impact to really absorb who's who in the family, and it is vitally important.
That
They
you
all,
know who to.
yeah, at least yeah, at least that you know which the parents are and which the kids are. So they did a thing that they've done with a lot
Mhm.
of other animated things where the moms look much younger than you would expect. And in this one, a couple of the moms don't particular, or the one mom in particular, the tall, skinny mom, her hair's not silvered or aged in any way. You just kind of have to be close enough to see her face to see she's got some lines on it. Otherwise, she looks like, from the body model that they are using, she looks like she could be one of the children, and it gets very confusing. Till you get that straight. So I'd heard a lot of people be like, no, it's super easy to keep everyone straightforward. Um, like you just know who's the mom and who's the aunts and this and that. I'm like, yes, but it's
I think
introduced to you very quickly, and they've tried to do stuff with color to suggest who's related to whom. So like the one family all wears yellow, but until you figure that out, you're completely lost as to who is who.
yeah.
So I think one
I
beginning
also
scene around a kitchen table would have solved that.
I think also relying on laugh lines and whatnot is maybe not a good idea because I don't feel like uh, Disney has quite gotten their 3D to work that way.
Yeah.
Um,
The abuela was pretty good. She had some good but very subtle lines on her face. So you could tell that she was the oldest out of everybody.
mhm.
But uh, but yeah, those moms were in real good shape for having
Having all those
having all
kids.
them kids.
Uh,
Beautiful movie though, very very good designs overall.
it's been like a month since I drew Connor.
I am drawing a robot dude, and I almost never draw robots, so this is a new one for me.
I keep debating if I want to do like little world building posts on
Patreon?
my Patreon,
Mm,
but like people get so like codified with that I
mm.
feel like it then locks it in and people will be like, "Well, you said in this thing that's not actually in the comic
Oh yes.
that this happened."
And you're like, well, I changed my mind during the
Yeah.
writing process.
Yeah.
Deal with it.
Uh,
I somehow think that wouldn't go over on the internet.
yeah, the internet hates that.
Yeah.
I remember when the Hobbit movies came out, someone wrote a uh article that was how the clubbed foot of nerdism ruined the Hobbit. Um,
Interesting.
because it was all about like nerds feeling the need to catalog and like
Mm,
um why did this happen, why did these details happen, blah 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 blah, like, and that kills the whimsy of the Hobbit. And
right.
the Hobbit at its heart is a children's
Whimsical.
story that runs
Yeah.
whimsy. It is not meant to be Lord of the Rings.
No. No, very much so.
Yeah.
It
um
was. It came first, actually.
yeah. And so yeah, it's just like, but the nerds feeling the need to like catalog stuff um is what made the Hobbit movies so bad. Is kind of was their sort of thesis statement. Like a lot of the bad choices in the Hobbit movies, they're like, yeah, you can trace them back to this desire to like codify and over explain everything.
Maybe, but I also feel like a lot of the bad choices, story-wise, in and pacing-wise, in The Hobbit, it was a very poorly paced series of movies.
Yeah, I
Uh,
only saw the first one and then I was like, I don't need to see the rest.
Oh no, 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 no. I live in a Tolkien household, so we've seen them. We actually spent last Christmas rewatch, not this past Christmas, the Christmas before, watching a fan edit of The Hobbit, because there's a lot of random Pete Jackson is just playing around kind of stuff that was in there. Like the whole
Mhm.
barrel rider scene was unnecessarily long because Pete Jackson has this obsession with long, overwrought, almost like,
Well, that was, I feel like, because that's in the first movie, right?
yeah,
The barrel part. Yeah.
where
So
it
I
was
feel
still a little
like,
goofier, kiddier.
well, I feel like that barrel part was like, well, we got to make it worth it to be in 3D.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
So
gotta get
let's
got it.
also it's for the ride if we have a ride at
Yeah.
like Universal Studios or something.
Hmm.
But yeah, it was very
Um,
very goofy. Um, but yeah, I don't know if you've seen the Tintin movie that Peter Jackson directed.
no, I've not.
It's worth watching. It's very fun and it's very Tintin. So if you were ever like a Tintin fan back in the day, it's worth a watch.
I
But
didn't. We did not get as much Tintin in
mm,
America that Canadians got. Like
oh, we got so much Tintin because it's in French.
we got yeah we got bits and pieces of Tintin, but we did
Gotcha.
not get much Tintin. Uh,
Tintin. We got French Smurfs and we got French Tintin.
huh.
La Schtroumpf. My French is terrible. So I apologize for my accent, but
I know how to order coffee in French, and that's it.
good.
I did a semester in France, and that was my takeaway. Like, how do I get my coffee? That's all the French I need. I'm done.
Perfect. Our our school system, of course, requires that we do French in school because Canada. And
uh,
we started doing French fairly intensively about the point in time where I was learning about like colonization and colonial
oh.
languages. And so I had a fight with my French teacher because I was like, why should I have to learn this language of the colonizers? I already know one. I do not wish to know more. And she was like,
uh,
I can't argue with that, but also I do need you to learn this. It is my job.
um, my school, we had the option to learn Spanish, French, or Latin.
Mm,
And I was one of the like six kids that took Latin,
cool.
because I wanted to learn it to write spells in fantasy
Yep,
books.
good.
Um,
Good call.
and the other reason was, in theory, it's supposed to help you learn to spell better.
Right.
Um, that did not
It's
work.
also useful if you go into
As
science at all,
um,
because
Yeah, well, for
everything's
me, because
named.
I'm dyslexic, I'm really bad at spelling anything.
Gotcha.
I've never spelt thief correctly on the first try.
Yeah.
And it did not actually help me spell better. I did learn the word defenestrate, which is a
Oh,
great
good.
word.
That is a good word. I like that
Um,
one.
I have to go to the bathroom, but I can still hear you talking.
Cool.
So just talk about how shitty the Hobbit movies are some more.
Just talk about The Hobbit, eh? Well, I am curious about the new Lord of the Rings miniseries that's coming out. They're being very, very, very cagey about it, but it's also a period of the history of Tolkien's world, which I have read the most recently because I've been going back through a lot of like Children of Hurin and some of the works that were published after Tolkien's death. Brief aside, my partner is really super, super, super into Tolkien. So we have like an entire Tolkien section in our bookshelf where we've got like a bunch of the like unpublished tales and different like the Tom Shippey books where he's going through Tolkien's world building and all that kind of stuff. So yes, now I am a Tolkien nerd as well. I don't know it as well as he does. I cannot read Sindarin, but um, I have read the Silmarillion a few times. So yes, the miniseries, big deal in this house. We're annoyed that we have to get Amazon Prime to be able to watch it, but we do need to watch it because My birds are named Mary and Pippin. We obviously like a little Tolkien.
Mary and Pippin are good birds.
They are very good birds.
I watched. I briefly got Amazon Prime because I needed some stuff
Mm.
delivered in a hurry.
Mm-hmm.
So I like got shit delivered and then turned it off.
Yeah.
But
I have done that on occasion too.
but because I was checking it out, I was like, well, while I wait for that, I'll watch some things on Amazon Prime.
Mm.
And the so I watched some of the Wheel of Time series.
Oh yeah. I have not
Um,
seen that. I never read The Wheel of Time back in the day, but I've had many people
I
ask
never
me.
read it either. But now I'm not going to. Um,
Good, good. That's a great
because
impression to have made.
uh, my takeaway from watching the Wheel of Time show was I bet TERFs love this. Because
So,
do you know how magic works in Wheel of Time?
no, I've heard that it's gendered, but I don't know how.
Okay, so um, to submit, women can only learn women magic,
Oh,
and they
good.
can only be taught by other women.
Oh,
And the way
good.
you get in touch with women magic is you submit
Oh,
to
good.
the
Oh,
all
good.
magical forces.
Mm-hmm.
And women are individually, their magic is individually weaker than men,
Yep. Mm-hmm.
but
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
men cannot make a, but like the women can like link to one another to be stronger as a
Oh,
group.
of course.
And men can't do that.
Mm.
Men can only learn man magic from a
Man
male
magic.
teacher.
Oh, good.
And um they get in touch with male magic by conquering it.
Of course.
I hate it so much.
I can't
And
imagine why.
so I watched the first episode and was like, they're throwing a lot of gender stuff in here,
Yep.
and
And I'm
like
already
none
not
of the,
big on the gender
and I was like,
stuff.
but you know, it might be world building that they then like rebel
Undermine.
against.
Yeah.
So I
Which is
Google
cool. Nope.
Wheel of Time gender, and the first result is a Reddit thread that's, I'm on book 4. Does the gender stuff ever get better?
Consensus, no.
Uh, yeah, so the answer is no.
Cool. Great.
So,
God, speaking of gender stuff,
uh,
I just found out today I am now allowed to be non binary on my ID, which is bullshit, but also great.
it's good that you can now.
It's good that I
It's
can now.
bullshit that you couldn't before.
Yeah, yeah. So on my status card, it's fucked up that I have a card that identifies me as a member of a certain race. That seems pretty, you know.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, for those of you who didn't know, the government of Canada assigns all status natives a card certifying that they are native. It's real fucked up. But anyway, so I have this card. Up until now, the only options were, of course, male and female. Um, Despite the fact that native folks have more than that genders
Yeah.
a lot of time. So, yeah, they just changed that. So I can actually apply and be, I could choose either two spirited or non binary. And I'm going to go non binary because that's how I identify. But that's cool. That's cool that we actually
Yeah.
have that option now.
Also, to rewind it back slightly to Tolkien,
Yeah.
um,
Talking
Jose
Tolkien.
uh, is also a big Tolkien fan.
Really? I did not know
Um,
this.
well, so Jose's getting married in April.
Aw.
And their partner, when I first met her, because I'm a dick, I wanted to embarrass Joe and told her, "Hey, did you know that when he was in high school, because Joe was using he him at the time,
Mm.
that he took all of his notes uh, in Hobbit language."
Oh, that's good. That's very good.
And so that's me being a dick to embarrass Joe in front of their new partner.
I. There is no
And
specifically Hobbit language, though. I mean, sort of.
well, like the Hobbit rune,
Yeah.
or
I mean, there's
yeah.
dwarven
So anyway,
runes, who are. Anyway, I won't go.
he
I won't go into the linguistic
that's just
stylings of Tolkien.
because I don't know enough that this is
Yeah,
just what I
yeah, yeah.
remember
Well,
Jose
I'm
saying.
pushing up my glasses
Yeah.
and going, well, actually, Kel.
Anyway, so but then she turned to Joe and said, "When I was in high school, I took my notes in Nordic runes."
Oh, that's good. Those are
And
similar
as
based if
soon
she's using the
and
dwarven
as
runes.
soon as soon as she said that, I was like, "So you two are gonna get married."
Yeah, you're perfect for each other. Good.
um, and I did when they announced they got engaged, I did send her that message. Just like the minute you said that,
I knew it.
uh,
I knew it. You were
I
perfect for each
knew
other.
you were going to get
Aw,
married.
that's adorable.
Yes.
Good.
Um, Also, the main character of Murky Water is named after Jose.
Oh, really?
She's Detective Maria Pimienta, and
Mm,
that's Jose's last name.
cool.
Uh, and it was funny while asking Jose, like, "Hey, can I name this character after you?" And they were like, "Sure. Why are you even asking?" And I was like, "Well, I didn't know how you'd feel about a cop being named after you."
It's like, fair,
And
alright,
then they're like,
alright.
"Well, now that you put it like that."
I also have had a song from Encanto stuck in my head constantly, forever, and so has the rest of the planet, apparently.
Which one?
It's the We Don't Talk About Bruno, which has been
Okay.
like top of the charts. It's blown their Frozen song, Let It Go, out of the water, charts wise.
I hate Frozen so much. I'm
Yep.
glad that Encanto's dethroning it.
Yep. This robot got an orb. Gotta look at that orb.
You gotta ponder that orb.
Gotta ponder that orb. There's some orb pondering going on in this drawing. Well, I am now not sad that I missed reading out on the Wheel of Time books because
Yeah.
that's some bullshit. No, there was a period
I
of
could
time in my
see
teens.
why I could see why they were really popular
Mm,
when they came out.
mm-hmm.
Because their world is a matriarchy.
Mm-hmm.
So like it coming out in the 90s,
It's
that's
90s
probably hit a
feminist.
lot of yeah,
It's not
it
actually
probably hit a lot
feminist.
of
Yeah.
girl power, rar.
No, that would have been the time period when I was reading. So I started off reading a ton of fantasy because I was like, I love dragons. Give me all of them
Mhm.
dragons. I want to read them dragon books. And this is before
All dragons all
the
the time.
Wings of Fire and those kind of books came out, so I couldn't even read books that were actually about dragons. I just had to read books that had dragons in them. Um,
Yes.
so that obviously led me to fantasy books a lot of the time. Um, but fantasy books that I read were the ones that were good, but the ones that were bad were like so stupidly bad. I would be like, I hate this book. I hate it so much. And like when you hit that enough, it turns you off of the genre entirely. So I didn't read fantasy for a while, and I switched over hard to sci-fi because I was like, yeah,
Mm.
sci-fi. I like Star Trek. Gotta watch some sci-fi. And then that became too misogynistic for me, and then I went back to fantasy because I was like, fuck it. And I also started reading like true crime and
Mm-hmm.
horror and stuff about that point because I was just like, these books suck. These authors are bad.
Um,
And to be fair, a lot of the sci-fi that was recommended to me was like, oh, you got to read the greats of sci-fi. You got to read Heinlein and Clarke and all of that kind of stuff. And I was like, they're all misogynistic.
yeah.
It's a problem.
Um, I didn't read as a kid because I was really dyslexic and
Hmm.
I was also impatient, so it's like this isn't I'm already reading slower than everyone else,
Right, right.
and we're not getting to the plot fast enough.
Yeah,
Having recently read Percy Jackson, I'm like, if this had come out when I was a kid, this would have been my jam.
yeah.
Because if you haven't read Percy Jackson, it is like fight happens, a little bit of talking, fight happens, a little bit of
Nice.
talking, fight
Nice.
happens. Like it is like I read in an article that the guy who wrote it didn't he wrote it for his son who has ADHD and is dyslexic.
Oh, cool.
Um
So he's
and
that's
I was
hitting all them good.
like this is written for the kid with the shortest attention span.
Yes. Yeah. So
Um
perfect.
yeah.
Nice.
The fights really don't amount to anything,
Mm,
which is my problem reading it as an adult.
right.
But they're
They're there
definitely
and they're
like
flashy. Good.
harpies. Harpies attack, talk. Medusa attacks, talk. Like
Good.
now they have to do a heist for Ares.
I mean, if it's getting kids reading,
Um,
go for it. I'm
yeah.
100% in favor.
But yeah. So like I tried to read The Hobbit as a child.
Oh yeah. Oh no, that would not be
And
no.
he never left his house. They
Yeah.
were forever having breakfast.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I joke that I couldn't get into Harry Potter because, like, I gave up before Harry got to Hogwarts. Harry never got to Hogwarts.
Like nope.
I was out of there before then.
He was still living in a cupboard under the stairs, talking to his shitty aunt and uncle.
Yeah, basically. I got to the part where he started to get letters, but I was like, I don't care. I'm
No. Nope.
out. Uh,
He would not like a lot
but
of the
like,
sci-fi I've read where it's like, let me expand
well,
upon my world building to you for most of the book, and then I will vaguely have some plot.
so like, then once I knew about audiobooks,
Mm,
I'm way better at sticking with a thing as an audiobook.
yeah.
Um, and I was doing reading a modern book that I was interested in, and then a classic book,
Cool.
whether sci-fi or classic L literature,
Hmm.
capital L literature. Um, and I didn't like a lot of them, but I'm glad I read them slash listened to them because now I have an opinion on them.
Gotcha.
And uh, it's and I think like it's stuff that like definitely would not interest me as a teenager if I read them.
Hmm.
It's stuff like in Stranger in a Strange Land.
Mm,
Um, I think it's interesting that he was trying to be progressive by here's a lady that's in charge,
Yeah.
but then he is so in the 50s that the way the men talk to the woman who is in charge is
Is
still
so
super sexist.
infuriating. Oh yeah.
So it's and so it's like I'm kind of fascinated by that dichotomy
Mhm.
of like he's trying, he's failing, but he's trying.
Yeah, by our
Um,
standards he's being a dick, but for that time he was being
yeah.
very good about it. The
But
shocking thing of having a woman in charge.
yeah. Um, and so I thought stuff like that was interesting where the author's like biases
Mhm.
are like clearly in the way. Like in Brave New World, it's like it's so awful. Everyone's on drugs
Yes.
and has sex all the time, and it's like
This is the
okay.
most shockingly immoral thing I
It's
can
like
think of. And it's like, that's, well,
yeah.
all right.
It's like he's focusing on that and how immoral that is, but in
Mhm.
Brave New World they also have like bred a worker race.
Yeah.
like
Yeah, that's
like
worse. You do
super
see how that's
super
worse, right?
yeah, it's like so super eugenics, we're not going to talk about that, we're going
Yeah,
to
yeah, yeah.
focus
Yeah, good, good, good.
about how the people in charge fuck and do all the drugs. um
Cool, cool,
and
cool,
like
cool, cool.
and so yeah, so it's like the author's own biases getting in the way, um is like was infinitely more fascinating to me than like what's actually in Brave New World, um like the plot wise.
Yeah.
Uh and I had an interesting conversation with my little brother about it because he read it recently,
Oh, yeah?
um and he's in AA,
Mm.
so the anti-drug stuff was actually a thing that kind of resonated with him, um, in a way that it obviously didn't resonate with me.
Right, yeah.
Um, but yeah, so we and I was pointing this out to him, and he was like, "That is like not a thing that even like occurred to me to think about the author's like own biases, like
Yeah.
showing their hand."
Yep.
Uh, but from reading all these classics, I learned I hate Dune.
Ah, right.
Um, uh, I I remember once at dinner bringing that up and um, getting starting the angriest discussion I've ever had at a con dinner.
Some Dune stands.
Yes. I was like, so Dune's really bad.
Somebody spits out their drink.
As a yeah. Um, it was
I
like
quite like Dune, but I could spend a lot of time discussing the like colonial themes in it.
I was like, I just don't care about space eugenics. Is the way I presented it.
Mm.
Uh, I also like my takeaway was this is why Star Trek never writes stories about Vulcans.
Yeah.
Um,
Do
which is the
you
thing
do
that
you know the
bothered.
book though that one of them is half worm?
Well, see, I only read the first book.
Yeah.
That's like I read the first book and then I was done. I do know that he does become half worm later
It's not him. It's one of his ascendants. But I just
yeah, well,
that seems like a thing that you might be into. Although then you would have to plow through that prose, and I don't think that would be. It's a lot of
no.
him being half worm and lamenting it, and then just like going around doing things. It's not
Well, so the thing
particularly.
that bothered me about First Dude is no one has any emotions, or they're all so logical to the point where like nothing makes sense.
Mm,
The thing that got me is at the end when he kills the bad guy,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
in front of
His wife.
bad guy's daughter,
Yeah, and then the
he
daughter's
then
like, "Oh, I
turns
guess I'll
bad
marry you."
guys Yeah. Well, no, what he says is like, so I know I just killed your dad in front of you, but for political reasons, we should get married, because that will create political
Yes.
unity.
Also
But
this part, yeah.
but but also I'm already married, so you have to be wife number two. Does that all check out? And she's like, yeah, sounds great.
Well, yeah, and this is before the fight. He finally sees his actual wife, who's like, "Yo, our son is dead," and he's like, "I gotta go fight this dude. Um, don't worry, we'll make another one. Anyway, bye." Oh yeah, and I'm marrying
And
the
also,
princess if I
like,
win.
yeah, yeah. Oh,
And she's just
also,
like, and she doesn't even get to respond to that. She has like no dialogue after
she
that.
she doesn't care. Yeah. So the other thing that got me is like the lady who becomes his wife, when he first meets her, he does his like big ceremony thing that shows him the
Yeah,
future, and then he says to her, "Hey, so I saw that we're married in the future, so we should get married."
and
And
she's
she's
like,
like, "Yeah,
"Okay,
that checks out."
yep."
Yeah.
Because you're like space wizard guy, so I guess I have to get married now. Yeah.
Yeah, so it was just like no one has like any emotion, no one emotes at all or has any connection to one another.
Yep.
um uh but because I was going through and like reading all these classics, but also watching classics, because
Mhm.
I had not seen Star Trek until the Chris Pine Star Trek movie came
Oh,
out.
gotcha.
That was my first
Yeah,
interaction with
yeah.
Star Trek. Um, and so I went and watched the original series and TNG and Deep Space Nine. And I started Voyager and gave up, and I started Enterprise and gave up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and so um, so it was kind of like I want to have opinions about these pop culture touchstones.
Gotcha.
Um,
I
and
will
obviously
watch
I
them.
liked yeah, obviously I liked Star Trek enough to watch 3 of the Star
Yeah.
Treks. Um,
It's interesting because it became
but
such a different thing after the original Star Trek. Because Star Trek, the original, was just pulp. It was like space pulp.
yeah,
They're running around in space and there's
episode,
aliens.
my favorite episode of the OG Star Trek is the Chicago Gangster Planet.
Oh, that one's very good.
Uh, but then
And by good, I
briefly
mean
did a
bad and
podcast.
funny. But it's very good.
It's wonderful.
So good.
But then um I watched Stargate recently
Right. You mean
and
let's run
bounced off
around in the woods around Vancouver?
I bounced off that one real hard.
Mhm. Mhm.
But because I was first watching it as an adult, I could articulate
What you
why
didn't
I
like
could
about
never
it?
get into
Yeah, yeah.
so many sci-fi shows as a child. Um, Turns out I hate military-based sci-fi,
Oh, yes.
and I think guns are boring.
You would hate a lot of
And
the sci-fi I slogged through my teens, though, because man,
yeah,
so much of it is just military fiction. They're like, I really like boat battles, but what about boat battles in space?
yeah. So like, yeah. So it was like I bounced off Stargate
Yeah, yeah,
super
yeah.
hard.
No, I'm not surprised, because
Um,
yeah,
cause
that's a
it's all
woof.
military-based sci-fi with guns.
Boy, is it ever.
Um, I did think it's funny that the recap episode of the first season of Stargate um clearly was written with someone like me in mind,
Mm.
because while watching this I'm just like, they're horrible at quarantine. They just committed a war crime, like
Yup.
over and over. Like,
Yup.
this is my thought process in every episode. And the recap episode is someone higher up in the military shows up and yells at them
It's like,
because he
what
read
the
their
hell are you
case
doing?
files, and he's like, you did these quarantine things wrong, and
You've
you
done
did this
some
wrong.
war crimes.
You did war crimes. Um.
Don't do that.
Uh. So that was the only episode that I really thought was um fun was the one where the the mean higher up in the military guy comes in to yell at them for doing war crimes and almost killing everyone with a plague.
Good,
Um,
good, good.
but yeah, so much sci-fi, especially sci-fi
Oh
on
God,
TV
yes.
at the
God,
time
yes.
I was growing up, like, is all about military shit.
Mm-hmm. I think that's it for Sky Pilot. That's here's a good Warforged for y'all.
Um,
Yeah, it's so because like most of the early sci-fi, like the early
mm,
stuff was either kind of pulpy and it was like here is a brave man who is in space and he is going to save the damsel who has been put in distress by something on a crazy world
or
maybe full of
like
Martians.
it's like I built a world where my weird sex kink is okay.
Yes, correct. Gore. Or the other part was like, well, flying around in space in spaceships. What if we did that, but like it was like the Napoleonic era? Like, there's literally a couple sci-fis I could name off the top of my head that are like, what if the Napoleonic War, but in space?
Mm,
And then there's others that are like, what if we think really hard about what space battles would be like as opposed to battles on Earth? That's really cool, and that's the whole story, is just these battles and the battle tactics and the kinds of drives that we've made up. um, and is there characters and a plot? Kind of, not really, sort of, maybe.
yeah.
But it's only to serve the military fiction, which is the important part of this.
The other thing about watching Star Trek as an adult
Oh,
is
that's
my
much too.
new opinion on why Futurama got bad. Is
Mm.
they ran out of Star Trek to make fun of.
I mean, you're kind of not wrong.
Yeah, because that was me watching the original series. Was basically, oh, this was on Futurama. Oh,
Hmm.
this was on Futurama.
Yep.
Oh, this was on Futurama.
God, have you watched Lower Decks? I haven't, but I've heard it's very Star Trek.
I have not. I've watched Discovery.
Mm,
Um, and I understand why other fans of Star Trek do not like it because it
right.
is very anti the ethos of other Star Treks.
Gotcha.
Um,
I haven't seen it.
uh, do you know about Gene Roddenberry's rule about conflict in the show?
Yes. Yeah.
Where Starfleet officers are not allowed to be in conflict with one another.
Yeah.
Um, that's thrown out the window in Discovery.
Right.
It's
Where it's like,
very
what makes these
like
characters interesting is that they are people, and people are often in conflict with each other.
right, but so I appreciated like that as a thing because it gives Star Trek its own unique voice that they have to. It is more about cooperation and
Yeah. It means you can't do
so
personal
like
stories quite in the same way, and it also gives them this like we're all coworkers vibe, which is interesting and different from a lot of other
and
shows.
and it's fair because like they are all coworkers
Yeah.
because they're all in Starfleet and they're all in the
Exactly.
military,
Yep.
so they are coworkers. So like Discovery like throws that out the window.
Gotcha. And it's like these guys can
And
fight, and two, they're gonna argue with each other.
yeah, because there's also like it's a lot darker a series.
Mm,
Um there's the first there's a running thing where the captains keep dying
gotcha.
or getting incapacitated. So the first captain it turns out is actually from the mirror universe.
Huh.
Um and so like the whole time you're watching it, he's like being very bad at having a cold war with the Klingons. Like he is like about he almost starts a war like multiple times.
Right.
Um, and
And you're
it's
like,
like
what's your
kind of
problem?
what the fuck is your problem? Yeah.
And that's
And
because he's from like a
it's
mirror universe.
he's from Mirror World where everything's more violent, and so he's more
Gotcha.
cutthroat. And um,
And you're like, cool, you should probably go back there because this is not it.
um, and then like there's the secret spy organization that is mentioned in DS9.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, there's stuff about the founding of that, and it's like that's all the dirty top secret shit that like Starfleet doesn't let people know that they do.
Right.
Um, and so it's a lot of like that. And they were thinking about making a spin-off um, of like the folks that started that. So there's a lot more like dark espionage shit. Um,
Interesting.
uh, so I can understand why someone is like, I
This is not
wanted a
my
Star
Star
Trek.
Trek. Yeah.
This is not a Star Trek.
Yeah. This is a
Um,
different sci-fi, but it's not a Star Trek.
yeah. Uh, and I haven't seen Picard.
It's
And I
good.
have no
It's again its
interest.
own thing.
Yeah.
It's like the episodes of TNG where Picard went off and kind of had his own life for the first
Yeah.
while, and then it's just like a let's get the band back together kind of thing. It's like all these characters you used to know and love. Let's go and see them. But of course, it's
Yeah.
Patrick
So
Stewart at the helm, so like it's wonderful because
yeah.
Patrick Stewart.
Yeah. It's Patrick Stewart's great.
Also, it hits all my nostalgia buttons because TNG was my Star Trek when I was growing up. That was what I watched. I would do the like kid thing where like as soon as the theme song came on, I would come running, or I'd be like sitting there waiting for it. And then I think I still can do the entire opening, like just from memory, because I would say it along with the narration. Uh, I was a giant nerd. I mean, it wasn't and am.
Yes. So that's basically the reason why I never really got into sci-fi as a kid. Is all the sci-fis on TV were
Nope.
military based.
Yep. Oh man, I slugged through so much military fiction. It was all bad, but I was like, I'm trying to like it. I've heard this is what you're supposed to read if you like sci-fi, and I like sci-fi. I think because I don't like fantasy. Also, there was a thing where it was like girls aren't supposed to like sci-fi. It's for boys, and I was like, fuck you. I'm gonna like whatever. If you tell me I can't like it, I'm gonna like it.
Um, there's a YouTuber I like who did a whole thing about propaganda
Mm.
um, in media, and one of his things is the copification of spooky cop shows.
Ooh.
Um,
Like
and well,
like
so he goes like,
supernatural or like
well, so he talks about like, the first spooky cops is was his catch-all term.
right?
Um, you could like the two big heavy hitters that sort of started the genre are X Files and Buffy,
Oh, okay,
but
gotcha. I know what you mean by spooky cop now.
in both yeah, so in both X Files and Buffy, though, they're not propaganda because Mulder and Scully are always fighting against higher up government conspiracies.
Yeah.
So while they are technically law enforcement, they are fighting other law enforcement more than they are
Yeah.
fighting aliens. And then Buffy also is frequently against patriarchal ruling forces in society.
Yeah.
She like she frequently comes in conflict with cops. One of the big bads is the mayor of the
Mhm.
town, and then she fights the military. And after um, Buffy and X Files, slowly spooky cops got more and more pro cop.
Right.
So Supernatural, they fake cop badges and kind of act like vigilante cops, but for the most part get along with law enforcement even though they are vigilantes.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then uh, uh, like Fringe,
They're literally a
the
government organization.
they're literally a government organization.
Yeah.
They are part of the government cover
They
up.
are supernatural FBI.
Yeah, basically. So it's like kind of and then Men in Black is
No, for
basically
sure.
ICE, but for alien
Correct.
extraterrestrial
I mean
aliens.
that's
Uh,
literally the whole concept of it is like what if we
yeah,
were alien enforcement but it meant
but
actual aliens.
yeah. Um, so and now we're at Grimm exists, and like
Right.
Grimm is horrible.
I have never heard it, but I
Really.
do know it's like they go out and they hunt the fairy tale creatures, right?
Yeah, but after a while they kind of drop that and it's just kind of like furry monsters.
Gotcha.
Um and but it's it is super pro cop and like not only pro cop but pro like police brutality of
Mm,
like cuz only the main character can tell who is secretly a fairy tale monster. And
right.
he frequently like beats and murders the fairy tale monster that he's fighting. And from an
Cool.
outside observer's POV,
It
he is
just
beating
looks
and
like
murdering a random civilian. Yeah,
right.
but he's a cop, so
And
it's
he's the only one
okay.
who can give him oversight
Yeah, he's the
because
only one that
the
can
only
give
one who could see
himself
it.
oversight.
Cool.
Um,
Great.
and
That sounds fine.
yeah. So it was like interesting because it was all about how like the steady march of propaganda of spooky cops.
Interesting.
Um, and this is all of interest to me while writing The City Between because Connor is a cop.
Yeah.
And I was like, how do I write stories about Connor that aren't propaganda?
Mhm.
They're probably kind of propaganda. Um, it's just he's usually in conflict with other police officers,
Right.
much like in X Files.
I don't like these legs at all. I'm redrawing them. Bleh.
So
Speaking of
here
legs,
are
did
my
you
thoughts.
see the thing that Lar drew for Dave Willis earlier?
No, I don't spend a lot of time on Twitter.
No, you're wise not to, but it was very funny. It is basically a transformer with the legs from Nine Chickweed Lane grafted onto it.
Oh, good.
I was like, very good. I love it.
Uh, anyway, here are my cops talking about random bullshit.
Cool.
I'll probably change this third panel. It's not
Your
working.
supernatural cops.
Yeah, my spooky cops.
Spooky cops.
They're called the Snowy Division,
Mm,
which is supernatural, otherworldly affairs.
cool.
But also, the joke that is frequently made is all the snowy cases are cold.
Oh, good.
But Tish.
Good, good, good.
Because Connor's backstory is that he found a couple of cold cases and solved them because they were supernatural, and he is one of the few people that knows about it. So
Okay.
then they gave him his own division. Uh, not gonna have time to get to half of the shit that I want to for City Between.
Mm.
Too many thoughts.
Just about like world building stuff.
Yeah. Also, like City Between, like doesn't have an overarching plot.
Mm.
It's supposed to be just like standalone stories that are like about 100 pages each. Um, so that way I can just jump around to wherever I have ideas, world building wise.
Cool.
Uh,
I need reference
but that means
for
that
this because high heels from the front are the worst.
they are.
They have way too many angles and they look dumb.
Yep.
There, I think that'll do.
But they make your calves look great. Um.
I don't know if I've mentioned this before. I am terrible, 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 terrible at heels unless I am playing a LARP character. And for some reason, Alina cannot wear high heels, but any of my LARP characters can. Don't ask me to explain it.
It's the magic of roleplay.
Right? I'm just very deeply in character. Hello, Palazard. I'm doing good. We are drawing
Hi.
some. We're drawing a sassy elf right now. She is an
What kind of?
elven fashion influencer. Just an elfy elf, like a high elf.
Okay, that checks out.
Yep.
Um.
She's a high elf and
But
she's
yeah.
high fashion.
Do you know what you're doing after Were Geek? Like online?
Whew, that is a big
Um.
question. I do, sort of. So, initially, when I did not have a big contract potentially coming my way, my plan was to work with a friend of mine and primarily do the writing on a comic that I was going to call Gloom Hollow. No, Gloom Hollow's the game. I found out after I'd already named it that there was actually a board game called that. So I was going to call
And so
it.
now it needs a new name.
Now it needs a new name. We're still working on that, but it's good. It was kind of a D&D monsters have their own town. And my friend Marie was going to do a lot of the drawing for it because she's got this really amazing, like fun, really, really cute anime style. And I was like, the monsters would be really amazing in your style. But it would also mean that I could work on something while you were doing a lot of the art for it. She was not comfortable doing backgrounds. So I was like, well, what if I make a bunch of backgrounds? Like you give me the script and I'll draw in, or I'll give you the script, you draw the characters, and then I'll draw some backgrounds because that's my forte. And so we were going to split up the work that way and then probably upload it on my website, but then also onto Webtoons. And I think we're still going to do that one. But then the other one I had in mind was a comic called Puff's Pastries, which is the lesbian dragon girls running a bakery for other monsters. And everyone's that like anime, like I'm a monster, but I kind of have like a cute human face.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so that was going to be very self-contained. It was going to be like I think 80 pages is what I ended up with for the script. But I would draw that one myself. But now I have a potential book deal that would eat up most of my next year.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll probably still do the cute D&D monsters one. Obviously not specifically D&D because I want my own IP, but the sort of here are some monsters in a fantasy-esque town and there are people coming to fight them all the time and
Yeah.
they don't want that to happen.
Have you watched the anime or read the manga? I was reincarnated as a slime.
Yes. It was
Okay.
cute and fun. I
So
found
it's
out about that one
just
after I was writing for this one, and then I was like, ah, they kind of did that,
there's a
but
lot
also,
of isekais that are like you're a
yes,
monster now.
yes. So it's not too same.
Yeah.
But yeah, so those are my plans. And then that came unraveled before Christmas because I got this big job offer, which I'm still negotiating on, but hopefully I can have some news about it soon. Much better. Now let's get some colors.
I have too many ideas and
Mm.
not enough time to draw them all.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. That Gloom Hollow one was actually something that's been on my plate for like 8 years now that I've just like
Mm-hmm.
picked away at and never had time to draw and wanted to do something. The cube that I do, the gelatinous cube plushie, is actually a
Yeah.
character in that comic.
Oh. Well, it's very cute.
Yeah. And so it's all going to be kind of that sort of style.
I realized the other day that I did the first City Between story almost 10 years ago.
Oh, wow.
Um,
Dang. It's weird how that can pile up.
it's also like it goes a lot slower because it updates once a week rather
Mm.
than 3 times a week like Sorcerer 101 did.
Mm-hmm.
But it also doesn't have as big as fan base and ads don't pay anymore. So
Yeah, no, they totally don't.
I can't really give it all my attention
Nope.
and fly through story ideas. Because if I was doing it at the rate I do Sorcery 101, I would get through each story like in half a year.
Right.
Um,
So 2 stories a year is pretty damn good. Like that's a lot.
yeah, whereas now they take like a year and a half because it's
Yeah.
uh, once a week rather than.
But as you said, we've got to pay the bills first
Yeah.
because ads, God. Ads used to make a comfortable amount of money and now they make nothing.
Yeah. My Patreon is to remove ads completely, and I keep hoping that like
To hit
my
that
Patreon
level.
gets to there, so that way I can just take them off.
Yeah.
And then Google will stop emailing me about how one page of the Dead Deception violates their terms of service, and they don't want to run ads on it.
Does it?
Connor is shooting someone in the head.
Okay.
So
Uh,
um, it's too violent, which is fine, and they don't have to run ads on that one page.
yeah.
Like it's one page out of the bazillions that are on my site. So
I want her hair to be slightly less obnoxiously pink, but not entirely uh, unobnoxiously pink. There.
I've been watching the anime To Your Eternity,
Oh yeah.
and it's real good. Um, it's about this magic orb thing gets sent down to Earth, and for a while it's a rock, and then an injured wolf dies near it, and then it shapeshifts into the wolf,
Oh, cool.
but it doesn't know not to copy the injury that killed the wolf. So
Right.
it's like that was the first time this being experienced pain, um, and made it realize that that shouldn't be there. So it then turns out the wolf was like the pet of a boy that lived nearby.
Mm.
Um, and the boy doesn't know that his wolf died and thinks the creature is his wolf. So it takes care of said creature like it's his pet.
Hmm.
Um, and Then the boy dies in the first episode.
Right.
Um, because he gets injured and he lives all alone. So I assume like it got infected or something.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, and so then he takes the form of the boy. Um, and so it's all about this shape shifting creature that's immortal, learning about different emotions and empathy and things,
That's cool.
through turning into other creatures. And it also turns out that it can only take the form of creatures that died.
Right.
Um,
Like near it.
yeah, or like they don't have to die near it, but he has to have like a lot of interactions with them.
Gotcha. To be able to
Um,
like copy them after they've died.
yeah. So it's stuff like he's in the middle of a fight, and he turns into a girl he met like at the beginning of the anime, but this is more toward the end of the anime.
Huh.
And he turns into her and realizes that she died, and like he doesn't even know how and what sort of situation she might have died
Right.
in. Um, so it's like that's how he learns that some people die, is that he can suddenly turn into them.
Yikes.
Um,
That's
and
better.
I say he, but really I should use they,
Yeah.
because it's turning into a bunch of stuff. It's because they're mostly a boy.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um,
Throughout the
because
series.
since that boy lived alone, like
And the boy's
it's
kind of
the
like,
most convenient.
yeah.
No one is gonna mistake him for the actual boy, because no one knew who that kid
Yeah.
was.
Obviously, because he like died alone in the woods.
Yeah,
Or,
he died alone in like a snowy tundra place. So
that seems like no one would know where you were.
yeah, it's kind of implied that maybe his whole village starved to death.
Mm.
Um, so um, So it's also interesting that because he was hanging out with the boy and the boy didn't have anyone to talk to except for his wolf, he knows the name of like every other form that he takes except for that boy's name.
Oh, interesting. I mean, it's kind of a fun writing tool because now it's like, okay, well, we don't, the audience doesn't know that boy's name because the main character doesn't know that name. So that
Yeah.
character that the main character creature becomes can just
Yeah.
be that creature in our minds because it's not like Trevor or Bob or whatever his name was.
Yeah.
The concept for this character that I'm drawing is what if an elf was a fashion influencer? And I kind of love that concept. I
Good.
keep going and adding more details because I'm like, right. Now, higher fashion. Higher fashion.
Jesus.
But like in a very gem 80s kind of way. And I love it.
Good. Good. Oh, another thing I'm doing with the city between vampires
Hmm.
is when they eat people, they get their memories
Oh, cool.
because they're literally stealing that person's life.
Right. I like that too because it gives them some. Gravitas is the wrong word, but like it means there's a cost for taking someone's life. You sort of
Mm-hmm.
now have to know and carry what you have extinguished.
Right. But the thing is like you get to the older vampires and they've done that so many times that like they don't even care anymore.
Yeah, just like super jaded about it. They're like, yeah, whatever. I guess I'm Steve
Yeah.
now. Next week I'll be Jane.
And so that I told you vampires are the 1%, and so I have a vampire owns like their world's version of Apple.
Mm,
And on job interviews, uh, everyone who's applying for a job there has to pass a blood test. And so the
right,
vampire is drinking some of their blood to see if their ideas are worth having them around, or if they're like an unpleasant person but have good
right.
ideas, they can just steal them. Uh,
Good. Or getting them to sign an NDA or something first before they even come in, so you can just
no,
steal their ideas.
because they found out about it through magical whatever. So there's no way for
Oh, I guess.
like there's no connection that
Right.
they saw what the other person was working on. Uh, so they can just get away with it.
They're like, haha, we just had the same idea as you somehow.
Yeah. Is anyone in your chat?
I had two people. Oh, down to one. I think you've still got two.
One of them's me.
Cool.
Uh, the other's probably you if you're still watching my stream.
Yep, it's just us.
Yeah. Yeah. Party time. No one's
Hell
watching.
yeah.
Uh,
Stream like nobody's watching. I was thinking that one of these weeks, when if or when neither of us has something to work on, or just need a break, I was like, remember that Digimon game we played at
oh,
VanCaf
well,
one
we
year?
explained a Digimon. Yeah, we explained what
Well,
Digimon
it
works
was because
with.
I've never watched Digimon, and so you were like explaining or describing Digimon to me, and I
I
would
was
just try and
describing
draw them,
Digimon.
and I was like, this
Yeah.
can't be real. This can't be a real Digimon, and you're like, oh no, I will show you the picture.
Yeah. You do a very good Myotismon. Um,
Thank you. I like.
but that's because he's just a sexy vampire, so it was easy
Yeah.
to draw
And I think
him.
that was your description, was just like draw a sexy vampire, no sexier. And I was like,
Sexy
all right,
vampire in a masquerade mask.
good, I can do that.
Um,
I remember there was
uh,
one that was like a monkey, but then also he had like an Elvis thing
he's
going on.
wearing this. And he's wearing the skin of another monkey. Like that's
Right.
important.
And I was like, what is going on with this drawing?
And no, that's Edamon.
Yep. Cool, 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 cool.
He's one of the bad guys, and uh,
He's wearing the skin of a different monkey.
yeah.
That's messed up. But he was wearing the skin of another monkey like pants, which was weird.
No, like the thing is like all of his skin is like it wrinkles up at the joints, so it's
Yeah.
like a skin tight suit. Um, so it's just weird.
There's a lot about that that's very strange.
Uh, Digimon also definitely got a bunch of people into being monster fuckers.
Oh god, yes.
Some of those Digimon are horny Agumon.
Well, like the only ones I'm familiar with are there's because there's that meme that went around that was like, here's how things evolve in Pokemon, and it's like cute little thing, medium sized, like cute little tiger, medium sized tiger, big
Yeah,
tiger that's on fire. I get it, perfect. And the Digimon, it's like, right, little blob
there's a
guy,
logic to it.
kind of a cute thing, but it's probably bipedal. And now it's a gun and a car and then a dude. Now it's just a
Well, so
dude.
the thing is like Digimon don't just turn into one thing.
Yeah.
So it's like you
And they
have
can
the
turn
little
back into their
blob
old
guy.
forms.
Yeah. Well, so you have like one of those little blob guys can turn into five different of those little bipedal guys, and then
Yeah.
the bipedal guys can have like five different. So it's like part of why it's so wacky is because it's I guess taking into their environment a little bit.
Right. They're like actually
And
like not actually evolving because that's not evolution, but like
they're
I can
digivolving.
adapt to
Yeah,
whatever is asked of me. Instead of Pokemon where they're like,
yeah.
I'm this thing and I do this thing. There you
They
go.
always
I
turn
can do
into the
four
same thing.
things.
Yeah. Whereas yeah, so like um it's like so in the first Digimon, the it's apparently very hard for Digimon to evolve
Mm,
without a kid to bond with.
right.
Um, and so in the first Digimon, like the kids have these crests that are supposed to be like what they're good at or some
Oh,
personality
right.
thing and
Right.
like what they're supposed to represent. And so you have something where it's like so Agumon, the little T-Rex guy who hangs out with the kid with the goggles.
Right.
Kid with the goggles, um, he gets his crest first, and it's the crest of courage. And he is super reckless trying to get Agumon to digivolve.
Right.
So instead of turning into Metal Greymon, which is what he usually turns into. He turns into Skull Greymon, which is like a vicious, horrible skeleton monster.
Cool. Good.
Um, which
Just what you
then
want your
makes
7-year-old running around
Ty,
with.
which then like scars Ty,
Mm.
and he doesn't want his cute little Agumon pal to digivolve, and is scared to have him digivolve. And then as he gets over that, that gives him real courage,
Aw.
um, because much like Ned Stark said in Game of Thrones, that you have to be when you are afraid is the only time you can have courage.
Right. Right.
Um,
This is the
uh,
Digimon Game of Thrones crossover you never thought you'd hear
yes,
tonight.
yes, yeah. And so it's funny because it's like sometimes um, the Digimon and the kid that they're partnered with are
Mm-hmm.
on the exact same page because both Tai and Agumon are like, yeah, let's go fight those bad guys. Let's save the day. Let's do it. And then sometimes their Digimon partner is the opposite of them
Right.
because that's what they need to be a full-fledged like they need to be
Right.
pushed in a certain direction. My personal favorite is Joe, who has the crest of responsibility.
Ooh, that's good.
Um, and he is a nervous wreck.
Good. Yep.
And is very anxious. So he gets the little seal guy buddy
Aw.
who is like, hey, deep breaths, chill out,
Aw. That's
deep
good.
breaths. Um,
I need a little buddy like that.
yeah.
What's the bird one? There's
Uh,
like the pink bird one that I really like.
okay, so that's Bioemon, who
Yep.
turns into a big phoenix
Cool.
thing. Um, and so Bioemon and Sora, the girl who has Bioemon, have the crest of love.
Mm-hmm.
And so
Cause she's a girl
there's a whole
one,
big
so you gotta
thing.
do love.
Well, see, this is where they get interesting. Is she's a big tomboy, and
Oh.
because she cannot live up to her mom's expectations, she thinks that she is unlovable. So she's never going to like wake up her crest, and that's like her sort of arc when they start to get all their crests and whatnot.
Okay.
She's like, they gave me the wrong crest because my mom doesn't love me because I'm not girly enough.
Right. I
Um,
can't be lovable because
teen angst.
teen angst.
Um,
Preteen angst.
uh, and then the guy with the werewolf Digimon.
That's also good.
Um,
I know that one. That's where Garurumon.
yes,
That one
he
is
has the
a
crest of
frequent
friendship.
request at free shows. I could draw that
Yeah,
one.
he he has the crest of friendship, and it's ironic because he's the cool loner one.
Nice. Because
So
he
his
needs to
wolf
learn
has
about
to teach him
friendship.
to make friends.
Good.
Yeah, his wolf has to teach him to make friends.
Aw.
Um,
Wolves are very good at that.
yeah. Um,
I want to be
and
a
then
wolf friend.
and so then the kid with the bug has the crest of intelligence or curiosity, depending on how it gets translated.
Cool.
Um, and
Bugs,
him and the
kids
bug mean the
collecting
same thing.
bugs is a very big theme in Japan. That is apparently like a
Yes.
thing that young boys do.
Well, he's a bug, but he's
Idealized.
also a robot.
Yeah, robot
And
bugs.
yeah. Well, so
As you
the
do.
because Izzy's whole thing is that he's really smart, but he is not good at connecting to um kids his own age.
Gotcha. Oh,
Um,
that's good. I like that. Haha, I just gave her dress sequence and
and
it's very funny to
and
me.
so like Izzy's whole arc is so this is a thing that's like this is a big difference between the Japanese version and the English version because it's just too hard to translate. There isn't
Hmm.
really a appropriate thing in English, but he is using the wrong honorifics to talk to the other kids. Like
Oh,
he is
really?
using the honorifics that you're supposed to use for adults.
Right, right, right.
So he is being overly formal
Right.
when he talks to everyone. So the kids think he's weird because he's not talking to them the way that other kids do.
Right.
Um, and that's not really a thing you can do in English.
Yeah.
Um,
You can just kind of try and
so
make
they
him
kind
use overly formal language, I guess.
well, so what they did is they made him kind of a little bit tinfoil hat conspiracy theorist
Oh, interesting.
in the English dub because he's like, so we were abducted by aliens,
Right.
and what do you think they want with us? Is like he's just always rambling about aliens in the English dub
Right.
because there is no way to do
To
that
communicate that same
formal thing.
concept, yeah.
Yeah. Um, and then the okay, so I did guy with the seal, Ty, Matt, Izzy,
The seal is rad. I do need a friend like
Sora.
that seal. Just, just calm
Yes,
down. Everything will be okay.
yeah, seal is very good. Um, and so then there's the girl who has the little cactus one.
Oh yeah, the cactus one with like the little flower arms.
Yeah. She is so basically her and the responsibility guy, um, both of theirs crests, if you translated them, um, would the most direct translation would be honesty, but obviously they can't be honesty.
Right.
Um, so it's sort of like an honesty of saying what you mean and
Mm.
an honesty of doing what you'll say
Right.
you'll do. So that's why they changed Joe's to responsibility.
Gotcha.
So they changed Mimi's to sincerity, but it doesn't quite work. Um, translation wise, like the way they talk about her crest.
Right.
Because the joke in the Japanese version is that she is super rude. Because she's like, "Wow, your hat's ugly." Um,
Right, because she's too honest.
she's brutally honest.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And then the American dub made her kind of a ditz because she pink.
Oh, I guess
Um,
she's so pink.
uh, she pink.
All right, I think I got this
Um,
influencer elf done. She's very fancy.
and then the last two kids are the younger kids, and there's a running thing where the young kids in Hi Dalmatianer. So the running thing in Digimon whenever they have a new group of kids is usually the youngest kids have the strongest Digimon.
Yeah, that tracks.
Um,
Yeah.
so one of the little kids gets the Crest of Hope.
Right.
Um, and then
And his Digimon
the
can wreck everybody's.
yeah, and then the other kid gets the Crest of Kindness.
Right.
Both their Digimon can turn into angels. So if you've seen Sexy
Oh, I've
Angels,
seen Sexy Angel Digimon.
um,
Yes.
yeah. So
That's what that is.
the weird pig thing with batwing
Yep.
ears. That turns into Sexy Dude Angel.
Cool.
And then the
Aren't their
cat, if
names
you've
like
seen,
Angie Woman and Angie Man? Is like the
yeah,
English translations?
Angemon.
Angemon? Man.
Angemon and Angewoman, like that, and
Cool.
that is what
Good.
they're also called in Japanese too.
Great.
But so then the little cat,
Oh
Gatomon,
yeah, the little pink
um,
cute
turns
cat.
in, turns into Angewoman.
Cool. Cute
So,
cat, sexy lady. All
um,
right.
yeah, cute cat to sexy lady.
That's a
Um,
transformation.
yeah, um, all all sexy lady. And then they mush together to become like a big dragon
Cool. So they sort of
with a
also Voltron?
million angel wings.
They can like
Yes.
Voltron?
Well, cause there's different types of digivolving. There's
Right.
like the regular digivolving, and then the confused digivolve. And usually, um, the kids who are the s- the leader kid and his rival are usually they fuse together
Of
to make
course. Yeah.
the so
The
like
mega fusion.
Matt with his Matt with his crest of friendship and Ty with his crest of courage, their things fuse together. But then the kids with the angels can fuse together and make a big dragon too.
Good.
Um,
Good.
Hi, we're talking about Digimon.
Yep.
Do you have a favorite Digimon Dalmatianer?
For context, I have never watched Digimon, and I am tangentially aware of it, and I'm always fascinated to hear about it.
Cause it's wild.
It's wild.
What
It is
is your favorite Digimon?
completely unlike Pokemon, which is what I am familiar with. I also have a favorite Digimon, despite never having watched it, but I like the pink bird because I like birds. That should be super obvious to those who know me. Um, if I was a Pokemon trainer, I would be that idiot who just has like flying type Pokemon and is very easy to beat.
Well, EVs all the time.
Nice.
So Dalmatianer says, so I don't know anything about Digimon except that when I was a kid, I had a big book with profiles for all the Digimon.
Oh, cool.
And I liked the one, the goop one. There are multiple goop ones. So,
Is a good gloopy boy?
what color? Yeah. Oh, okay. I have been given a picture.
Oh, cool.
I will pull it up on screen.
Glooped.
So you can see Alina.
Yeah. I want to
Yeah.
see this gloopy boy. Oh, good. Oh, yeah, just like a little Slimer guy. He's like a Slimer slug.
With eyeballs.
With eyeballs. Good. Little gloopy boy.
There is also a Digimon called Deva Woman, and there is a
Good. Is she a sexy devil?
sexy fight between. Yes, she is. And there is a fight that's
I'm
her
figuring this
fighting the
out.
sexy angel. So,
Ooh. You get all the sexy ladies fighting.
All sexy all the time.
Hell yeah. I bet that is a popular episode. Okay, I have seen how, like, kind of BDSM Anja Woman is. I can only imagine that Devil Woman is. Devil Woman?
Yeah, hold on.
Devil Woman. Woman Devil is worse.
Digimon.
Because, like, they're people, but you can't see their faces, which kind of makes it a little weird, because they're not actually humans. They're, like, they're Digimon that look like humans.
Here you go. For all your bondage needs.
Wow, okay, yeah, that is just as BDSM as I was picturing. Oh my goodness. She's got, like, again, that black hood, so you can't see what her face looks like, because she's not really a human person.
Yeah.
And then just black leather. Just so much black leather.
That's why this was wrong.
Well, that is certainly a thing.
Like I said, Digimon made a lot of monster fuckers.
Mm-hmm. Well, when you do furry shows, you get to know Weregarurumon, and if you can draw a sexy version thereof, very good. Good job. Same thing with, there's like a handful of Pokemon that are very widely requested. There is, which ones have I drawn? I've drawn quite a lot of Eevees, but like as a lady. And then there's the bunny one, who's like a sexy bunny lady already.
I've seen a lot of porn of that sexy bunny Pokemon.
Yep. Same thing with Gardevoir. Even though she's like a plant lady with a spike
like,
through her chest.
Because they're vaguely human-y, so...
Yeah.
You're already partway there.
They're furry compatible.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's kind of hand lettering.
Oh, Salazzle. Hell yeah. Salazzle's the sexy lizard lady. The wiggle lizard.
And the one who the boy ones are useless.
Yeah. They're just there. They're just a lizard. They're just a little guy.
Yep.
Same thing with the bee guys. Not that they're sexy, but like you've got to get a bunch of boy bees before you finally catch a girl bee.
Um, so Digimon's better because it has a plot and character development.
Mm-hmm.
Ash is still 10,
Yeah,
and fuck
yeah, yeah,
him,
yeah.
he still doesn't know how to catch Pokemon.
No, he's still running around
Um,
there just talking about hope and not really catching
also,
Pokemon.
also in Digimon, it's about quality over quantity. You get
Mm-hmm.
one best friend.
Yeah.
You don't
Whereas
need any
you could
others.
get a bajillion Pokemon and then put them all in your bag and never see them again. Which is what the whole game is about, really. It's like, look, catch them all, and then at the very end of the game, take all your friends who are beloved and throw them away, and then breed new, better Uber Pokemon. Because your friends are
I always get
garbage.
the evolutions. I always get the evolutions and name them after Sailor Scouts.
Good. Good. I like good naming conventions.
Which is funny because Eevees are usually boys.
Yeah, that's good. Some of the Scalar Scouts were boys. Oh, Pokemon is Lego, Digimon is Mega Blocks. I like that analogy, Dalmatianer.
How do you spell trial?
Trial.
Okay, so I did spell it right. It just looked wrong to me.
Mm. Words do that. I do not have dyslexia, but I still, like, thief is one of those words that will trip me up every time, where I have to sit there and stare at it, and I'm like, did I do it wrong this time? Did I fuck this up, or did I do it right?
Well, see, I type it and then spell check says this is wrong, and I'm like, oh,
Mm.
uh, I guess it's the other way.
What did I do? That's the wrong one. I had the wrong brush. Though, I think I'll make those match. One is blue and one is red. I think I'll make them both red, because red is cooler. I'm still watching that show that's basically the Korean, The Good Place, and it still continues to be awesome.
Ooh, cool.
I love the ghost
That's fun.
woman. She is sassy and angry at everything, and that's delightful. She's angry at the universe for screwing her over 500 years ago. And I mean, I would
I
be too.
mean, fair.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. She hates
she got
humans
beef.
because humans are dumb and she has to help their dumb asses.
Yep. Um, keep meaning to rewatch DS9.
Mm.
Uh, 'Cause this is the year that the Bell riots are supposed to happen according to Star
Oh,
Trek.
right. Good, 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 good.
So we're gonna end capitalism this year.
Lovely. That seems terribly unlikely. I
I
would love for it to happen, but boy, yikes.
DS9's so good.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
Dalmatianer is always also excited for the end of capitalism.
Hell yeah. I was excited last year for Goblinization Day, the day in Shadowrun when everyone turns into, well, some people turn into like orcs and trolls and stuff. And because it happened last year in the novels. Uh, and I'd been planning on having a Goblinization Day party at my house for all my Shadowrun friends. And of course, COVID and lockdown, so that didn't happen. But that was the day I dressed up like an orc and went and ran around on my roof to take pictures.
All goblins all the time.
Hell
It's
yes.
Goblin Week.
Hell yes, Goblin Week.
If you didn't know,
God, why was I
yeah,
not drawing
it's
goblins
Goblin
today?
Week. Yeah,
I did because I have been watching J Rock's Amazing Goblins. Uh, they're the best.
pretty good. I like uh, putting dumb details in the background of things,
Nice.
like Connor's desk at work is just covered in wrappers for the
Oh, good.
protein bars that he eats because he's horrible.
Just a gremlin.
Well, it's actually part of an elaborate facade to trick everyone into thinking that he is sloppier than he is,
Ah,
because he leaves shit out of his police reports. And if his desk is messy and his reports are sloppy, like if everything's sloppy, then people dismiss it as him being not very meticulous
right, yeah.
and shitty at his
And
job.
kind of give him a
Where
pass.
yeah, they'll be annoyed with him, but they'll be like, "God damn it," and just not do anything about it.
Yeah.
Um, so it's like his desk is horrible in a horrible state, but his house actually isn't that messy.
Right.
Um, so and then Maria's desk is really neat and tidy, um, but there isn't anything personal on her desk,
Right, so she's hiding
because
things. She has a
um,
facade.
it Connor doesn't know it, but she works for internal affairs and she's investigating him.
Ah,
Um,
cool.
so she doesn't think she's gonna be. She is like keeping a minimum to like her other personal shit.
Right. It's like I need
Um,
to be very impersonal and impartial because I
yeah.
may be bringing you in.
And sometimes her dialogue is a little hard to write because I'm trying to write her as like someone who's friendly and is maybe good at getting you to open up, but then you realize that they didn't actually tell you anything about themselves.
Right, yeah.
Um,
I mean, that's her job is to
uh,
like I get other people to open up and
yeah.
tell me about all the shit they've done.
Um, and her whole arc is going to be she learns more about the supernatural, and um, there is no way to officially handle a lot of it.
Right.
Um, so she's going to try to reveal the supernatural to the world
Oh, that's
eventually, so that way they can write rules and laws about it.
right. They can
Um,
regulate the supernatural.
yeah, um, that's obviously not going to go well for her
No.
if
No.
we ever get there. Because City Between World already knows about werewolves, they just don't know about anything else.
Oh, okay, gotcha. And like the
So
1% who are
Connor,
all vampires.
yeah, they don't know that the 1% are vampires.
Yeah.
Um,
I suspect a
it's
lot of money
supposed
is
to
being
be
put towards nobody ever finding out.
well. So what it is, it hasn't been revealed in the comic yet. But basically, the vampire I told you that runs their Apple,
Yeah.
since she is more involved in tech than the average vampire, um, she knows that because now there's cameras in everybody's phones, and social media, and like basically the internet in general. The world is getting smaller. Supernatural stuff is not going to be able to hide for much longer. Um, so she actually arranged a situation, um, to make Connor look like a hero, where he had to reveal his powers.
Oh, gotcha.
Um,
So
and
now
so
people are going to be
Connor is the
interested in
first.
the supernatural.
Well, so the reason why the world knows about werewolves is that she is using werewolves as like a guinea pig to slowly reveal
Mm,
that supernatural stuff is real. And Connor is kind of aware that is very much aware that he's getting used this way.
right.
But since he doesn't like to hide who he is anyway, he's more or less okay with it. Um, he was not involved in the crime that made him look like a hero. Like, he
Right.
didn't know that it was coming, but he suspects. He just can't prove it. But a lot of Connor's whole thing is, um, he's respectability politics, basically.
Gotcha.
So, uh, werewolves in City Between World have tails, um, but Connor does not ever have his out in public
Mm,
because he needs to be as human as possible, because he is the werewolf most people know about,
know about. Gotcha.
and the only one that most of them are ever going to encounter, because I wanted them to be fairly rare as the explanation as to why they could stay hidden for so long.
Mm,
Um, I made a statistic that was, I was looking up different like um, instances of genetic um, uh, diseases and stuff like that. So it's like, because I wanted it to be rare, but like not so rare that no one's gonna ever believe that they exist.
right.
Um, so I think the number I came up with was for every 400,000 humans, there is one supernatural creature.
Okay.
Um, so
It's rare, but not like they're like none.
just yeah,
Not vanishingly rare, but
yeah.
quite rare. Cool. Well, I am
Because
done with my
most people
drawings.
aren't.
I think I am
I'm almost done with this page.
sweet.
Uh,
A good dragonborn
yeah.
rogue and my party elf. Her shoes look like flamingo faces, and I kind of love it. I would I would
Cool.
have shoes like that. Not that I ever wear heels, but like I do like flamingo noses.
You can flats that look like that. They can
Hell
make flats
yes.
that look like
Hell
that.
yes. I would paint flats that look like that. If I got a pair of pink flats. Cool. Well, that was some fun coloring today.
Yeah.
Boom. Save. She really looks like a gem character.
A running thing in the series is because Connor hides most of his werewolfy features, he does keep his eyes werewolfy.
Mm.
Because all the werewolves in City Between have yellow eyes.
Oh, cool.
But when people meet him in person, they usually think his eyes look super weird. And comment on it and stare.
Like, what is up with your eyes, dude?
I mean, they know because they know that he's a werewolf.
Right.
It's like, whoa.
Werewolf eyes. They're freaky.
Yeah. And if it was in color, his eyes would do that thing that animals do in the dark.
Oh,
You
good.
shine a little bit of light on them.
I don't know if my eyes do that yet or not. So I got those eye implants. Where I now have like artificial lenses underneath my real lenses. And the doctor told me that the refractive index of them is different than a human lens, than like a natural human lens, so that I may have weird, like flashing in my eyes on camera. And I haven't been able to catch it yet, but that would be like a bonus from this surgery. I would love to have weird cat eyes.
Yeah. Weird glowy eyes.
Right? I want to turn around in somebody's like reflective glare from their headlights and just seem like a supernatural creature.
I have to draw all the little wrappers on his desk.
On his messy, messy desk.
Do you ever clean these up? No.
No, they're just always there. I'm a bit of a mess.
Let them hang out there.
I'm making this orb glowier.
I was trying to come up with names for this City Between story, Murky Water. I was very tempted to call it All Cops Are Bad. Because every single cop in the story is doing something kind of shady.
Good, good.
Because, like, Connor's not filling in his reports the way he should. Then there's a werewolf hunter character who is basically being the supernatural police in a vigilante way, like taking law into their own hands.
Yeah.
They're basically like they're one of the spooky cops that we talked about
Right,
earlier.
right.
And then Maria does some shady shit as well.
Good.
All the cops are bad.
Good.
No
For
good
different
cops.
reasons. All kind of shady.
Yep. All cops are bad. I also like to draw Maria's swoopy hair.
Swoop.
did it.
Hell
It's
yeah.
done.
Alright, I got 3 guys colored,
Here's
and
the finished page.
nice.
Well, thanks everyone for stopping by the stream.
Yeah, thanks for joining us tonight.
Once again, you can find my comics at kelmcdonald.com.
And you can find my comics at wheregeek.com or at alenapete.com.
And we do this every Tuesday
Yeah.
between 8 p.m. and 10 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So pop on over and support us on our various Patreons and
We got
Twitters
links
and
on
all the
Twitter.
other places. Yeah,
Awesome.
all those things. Thanks again, everyone. Bye.
Talk to you next week. Bye-bye.